record this. I am excited to introduce my very good friend, Jason Stein, who is a coach. He's a business coach here in the Portland area. And I don't know why it keeps showing me.
Do you know, you want your camera on, Becky?
Oh, no, I don't. Well, I can let people know I exist.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm excited. I met Jason a number of years ago. He was my first coach ever. And I don't think Jason realizes to this day the impact he had on my life. He was just amazing. He really made some huge differences at a time when I really needed it. So I'm really excited to have him here, and he's going to teach us how to help others happily help us grow our businesses. So I'm excited. So I'm going to turn it over to Jason, and now you'll get to see him.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I know we're across the country here in Portland, Oregon, Pacific Standard Time. It is just after 3 p.m. So wherever you are, I'm just glad that you're joining us. And I see some of you have your cameras on, some of you have your cameras off, and Sarina, you have your camera halfway on, halfway off. You look like a little bit. You can always tilt your camera. One of the things that often they don't tell you in Zoom, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a speaker view. And you can always change that if you want more of the Brady Bunch style versus whoever's speaking. I always like to see as many people as possible. So love that many of you have your cameras on, because it's great to see faces, especially when doing an online presentation. And so before we get started, I just have a question. How many of you would like other people to support your business?
All of us.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
So that's amazing. It's amazing, because I was thinking about this presentation. I was like, that's what I Take the Lead does if you use it in its best form. And so a lot of you are already doing that. But I wanted to talk more to you today about how I've learned how to optimize that. I don't know the last time that I had a 40-hour work week, because I like to balance family, travel, and work. And I want to tell you a little bit with my PowerPoint. So we get in here, and here we go. Can you guys, because I can't see your faces while the PowerPoint's on, can you see this?
We'll let you.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Now we got Becky.
Oh,
Yeah, I see. Me too.
I didn't share the screen. So let me try this again. And
There we go.
great. And now I see you guys too, so I did it right. How to have people happily help you grow your business in 3 simple steps. So I think it's really important that we don't have hours and hours and hours. And sometimes I go to these webinars and I was like, oop, I just wasted another hour. So one of my intentions is that you learn something today that's applicable by tomorrow. I want to, okay, great. So I want to share a little bit before we get started about my mentor. This is one of my mentors. If you don't have a mentor in your life, I highly recommend finding one. It can be a professional coach. It can be someone who's a leader in their field. For me, it was Dr. Ken Weiser. And this is him several years ago. The reason that Dr. Ken Weiser became my mentor is in my background, I was an acupuncturist who started really working with people in business, because I found how often they got sick from their working environment. And what I noticed about Ken Weiser is that he had his own story that was very powerful. And his story was that he was a filmmaker in Hollywood, and he got testicular cancer. And when he talks about living in LA is just a different culture. Everybody's fast paced, everybody's rushing to get somewhere, and everybody's about making more money. And when he got testicular cancer, he went through chemo and radiation, which almost killed him, and he figured there was a better way. So he became a naturopathic physician, and his specialty was cancer. Now, I don't know about you, but I know a lot of naturopathic physicians, because in the state of Oregon, they're primary care physicians. It's also part of my field, and I know many of them struggle. And what I wanted to learn is, while all these people were struggling, why was this one guy breaking barriers and opening doors again and again? So the first door he opened, Nike. He was the first naturopathic physician in Nike and built an integrative cancer care program there on campus that still exists. Second thing he did, American Cancer Society loves working with MDs. They never worked with a naturopath. He started working with them. The third thing he did, I think it was about 17 years ago, Providence Health Systems, he started working with them in a collaboration, and then they hired him, and now they have 10 other integrative practitioners in a whole program called the Integrative Cancer Care Program. Now, how does one guy do this? Well, I'm going to share some of those tips today, and I want to share a little bit more about story. So my background started when I was 10. That's me, that little snot-nosed kid in the middle. That's 10-year-old Jason, ready to conquer the world. And this was an article in the local newspaper because, yes, at 10 years old, I had my first business. And my dad was a serial entrepreneur, and he had a building where he gave it to Don, Judd, Joanna, and me, my brothers and sisters, and said, what are you going to do with it? And so we created ideas, and we decided a dry cleaner. Because with a dry cleaner, you don't have to be that skilled if you outsource the dry cleaning. You have to have good customer service. Back then, you had to work the till and know how to count back money. And you had to start to learn about marketing so you could really get the word out there about your business. And so this to me was fun. Like, if you think about the kid at school that would go to like Sam's Club or Costco and buy Tootsie Roll Pops and then sell them at school, not for a fundraiser, just for profit, that was me. And I started to love business, but I also started to love healing. I started martial arts when I was 15. I became a doctor of Oriental medicine when I was 28. And I started the first integrative medicine program in a hospital in the state of New Mexico. And I have a passion for this crossover between being healthy and being an entrepreneur. And really, my story is that I'm a third-generation entrepreneur, but I've witnessed firsthand people's working environment and entrepreneurship itself killing the soul. How many of you, when you've been in an I Take the Lead meeting, you see someone that is putting in 70, 80 hours worth of work, and they're not getting the return, and they're just, you could see how hard they're working and how frustrated they are. For me personally, I've worked with a number of executives that were alcoholics that ended up with cancer because they didn't know how to shut down the working brain. And really, I started learning how to know your relationship to money and how to have a healthier relationship to money. Because often we work harder thinking we'll make more money. And how many of us have done that and that wasn't the case?
Oh, absolutely. I know I have.
Yeah, we just get down that road of like, okay, working harder equals making more. And the two don't always equate. Now, I'm not saying delegate everything and become lazy. I'm not even a huge fan of like outsourcing multiple streams of revenue and just sitting on a beach and drinking a pina colada. That's not what most people do, because the people that are showing you doing that online, either it's not legit or they're just making their money off the backs of others. So there's a way to do what you're doing now that you love without it killing you, and also in a way where you can make more money, and more importantly, you can have more fun doing it. I find that most people get soloed in business and start doing more and more alone and making it harder and harder and harder. Lynn, you're a perfect example of the opposite of that. When I take the lead networking, I see you online networking, I see you networking in businesses, and over the years, how many alliances with other people do you think you've created?
Probably quite a few, but they're helping each other out, not trying to get people to work for me.
Yeah. So they're actually building a deeper relationship.
Yes.
If you can build deeper relationships, your business can get so much easier. So step one is knowing your story. And there's some questions that you want to ask yourself. And I'd like to have you chat the answer to this first question. What's a big challenge you faced in your life? If you feel comfortable enough sharing that. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, just the other day, Sunday night, Tywin Lannister came on and he said, the most important thing in all time is stories. And if you don't know your story and your business, it's really hard to build an alliance because other people don't really know why you're in business. To start to know your story, why are you doing it? What makes you unique? How do you love to help people? And what are some of the challenges you face? Now, let me see from here. Lynn, is anyone answering that question in the chat?
I don't see anybody in the chat, no.
Okay. So one person, as I'm telling my story, I'd love to hear yours too. I saw one come in, keep coming. What's been a challenge? So for me personally, I was doing really well as an acupuncturist, and I decided I wanted to start to work with the people in business because I was tired of them coming to me once they were too sick. I wanted to start to work on the front end of helping them in business before they got sick. And what happened is I put my head in the sand and I had a business partner, and I decided the business partner would handle the numbers and I would handle the customer service and the interactions. And what I did not know is that business partner was embezzling money, thousands of dollars. And what I realized was, although I knew how to make money, I still didn't have a healthy relationship with money. I didn't want to look at it. And really part of my story in helping others, I love helping people make more money. It's one of the things that I live for, because when you get a story in your work that knows that you help someone double their profits or make an extra revenue stream or whatever that is, for me, I wake up knowing that my purpose is being served. Now, I saw, wow, lots of chats.
Yeah. Somebody asked, what's your question? Jason, your question is, what's your biggest challenge that you faced in life, right?
Yep. And so either Becky or Lynn, can you answer some of those? Just read a few of them off.
Well, one I put up, working and staying focused during my wife's cancer and our parents aging and dying. It all kind of hit over the course of about 5 years. It's like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah. So you got stuck in between a healthcare crisis and aging parents.
Yeah.
How many Americans do you feel can relate to that? Right.
Eventually all of them, but a lot of them right now.
Eventually all of them. I'm guessing at least 30, if not 60% of your clients are facing that right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And so for you sharing that story, not in a look at me way, but in a way to connect, it really forms a deeper connection. Can you share a couple others?
Yeah, let's see. Tim Hare said his biggest challenge was taking over the business that he'd been working a number of years. I know that personally. When his boss's wife died and he quit. So all of a sudden he became the business owner.
And Tim, what is it that you do?
Tim, you want to unmute? Let's see.
Yeah. Okay. So we're a software developer, and we work with small businesses and create customized solutions that really match their business process.
That's great. And so the reason you're doing that is, I'm guessing, so people can have more systems to recruit and retain the best clients for them.
Yes. And really the thing that I really love about it is making what they love to do easier to do so they can do more of it.
Mm-hmm. And it may be that you can get permission or just ask if you could write a blog post about your experience of taking over the business. If the past owner doesn't want to give you that permission, you could write it in your own way without naming any names. But that, which was the biggest challenge, is also the biggest gift to your clients, knowing that you went from an employee to the owner or a co-associate to the owner. When you're building alliances, people want to know not just the good stuff. They want to know that you can handle hardship and that you've overcome. Becky or Lynn, can we hear one more?
Yeah, here's one. A series of unfortunate events. Ended up homeless for several years. In the midst of that, several car accidents, including a couple of hospital stays. Biggest challenge, getting back on our feet.
Yeah. And who's that from?
Joseph Mayer.
Joseph. And what does Joseph do?
I don't see that.
Yeah.
Okay. And Joseph, if you could put yourself on live rather than mute.
Let me see.
He's a financial advisor.
Perfect. I would trust a financial advisor that's been homeless over one that has never struggled with finances.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
A mansion full of knickknacks and memorabilia. Yeah, which one do you want to work with?
So, Joseph, this is a true story. When I had my partner embezzle tons of money, I had to go through bankruptcy because for me, there was so much unforeseen debt that I wasn't prepared for or even knew about, that they bailed and I had to manage that. And when I was going through bankruptcy, I was recruiting a new client and they asked me about my own finances. And I told my story thinking, well, there goes another lead. And they chose me to coach them based on my honesty. And so we tend to hide some of our biggest challenges, thinking that if we're that vulnerable, people will not want to do business with us. And the truth is, people want to do business with human beings. We're all getting tired of AI and automated things. We want humans to connect with. And the financial planner that has been homeless and then had the turnaround has a great story. Before we move on, any questions from anyone that's kind of like chomping at the bit? You're like sitting at your home-based business or at your own computer. If so, just take yourself off mute before we move on. Going once, going twice, and here we go.
Okay.
All right. So the next thing we have to talk about is asking. And if you've heard me present before, you'll see some of this material in everything I do, because as business owners, we don't ask enough. We often get stuck with no's. We think we're going to bother people. We think of like someone who's bigger than us or better than us, and we judge that relationship. And ultimately, in business, if we can learn how to ask better questions, we're going to get better alliances. So really, in asking, asking for help with meeting the right people. So LinkedIn did a study a little while ago, because we all remember 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, and LinkedIn discovered it was about 4.2 degrees. So with social media, we're chopping down the number of people that you're connected to in the world by about 4 other people. So if there's someone that would make a great alliance to help you serve your business to more people, you're already connected to them through 4 people. Now, which 4? You got to start asking the right people now. But how many times do we know the right person and we're just not asking to bridge that relationship? How many times are we afraid to make the phone call or write the email? I've had people that have had the permission from someone to use their name and they still sat on it. So really learning to ask, it'll help you understand your finances better, like asking for help to look at your finances. my personal story when I wasn't looking at my finances and I had to go through a financial upheaval. I decided that I needed help going through my finances, and there were 3 people that I knew really well that told me that until I could do it on my own, to not ask for help with it with someone else. And that was the worst advice I could have ever gotten, because I waited another 1.5 years thinking I would do it, check my balances, really go through an inventory. I wasn't into metrics. And finally, someone said, those people are crazy. You need help. Go ask for help. And I found a bookkeeper that at the time was doing emotional support and profit and loss. So they were doing hard numbers, balance sheets with emotional support as well.
Wow.
And I learned how to get really good with money. I learned how to understand it, how to not hate it, how to have better energy with it. And before we move on this call, if money was a human being, what's one word to describe your relationship with it? Just sit with that for a second. Is it awesome? Is that the word? Or is it like a divorce? Yeah.
Okay, Mike says respect. Julie says like a divorce. Yvonne says friends and partners.
Great. Friends and partners. I love it, Yvonne. So asking for help from those that came before you. When you're creating a new alliance, chances are there's someone that's already done something similar that's willing to share. And I don't think we understand this power of other people wanting to help you. We often get in the mindset of people are competitive. They don't want to help me out because I'm doing something similar. Everybody's looking out what's in it for them. That hasn't been my experience. My experience is that people really want to help you succeed in helping more people. And it's about finding the questions to ask. So this is Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
When he's 5 weeks old. Asking was no problem. I think I changed this slide. Hang on one second. And this is Cooper now. Oh, the slide didn't make it in it. Let me go back one.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to share that picture another time. Cooper loves Elmo. And we let him have about a 20-minute episode every other day. Because we're weird and we're kind of like a yippie family that's a yuppie hippie. And we believe that too much screens isn't good for anyone. And so how often does Cooper ask for Elmo? Every morning. And when we say no, he asks again. So over asking for Cooper's not a problem at all. Now we look, and I'm just curious, what did your parents teach you about asking?
It's not polite.
Yeah.
It's not polite.
Yeah.
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 What else? Go ahead and put it in the chat. What did your parents teach you about asking? And let's see the chat light up.
Yeah, it is. Just stop asking. Stop. Just stop. Yeah.
So stop asking. It's not polite. Don't do it. If you do it, you're going to owe. Like we have a whole, don't ask if you can do it yourself. What if they say no? You might not be able to recover. You're selfish or greedy. That's often the big one. Ooh. Imagine that you're programmed as a young human being to stop asking, and then you become an entrepreneur. So asking becomes really difficult for you. It really is a rub that you can make your way through, but you got to start being more conscious about how often you're stopping yourself from asking. We take a look. This is my wife at 32, several years ago. My wife is like a modern day Renaissance woman. She's a physician. She's a yogi. She's a strong first fitness trainer. She's an excellent.
And this is telling your son Noah about Elmo, right?
That's right.
There's a reason we keep you around, Lynn.
No more Elmo.
My wife is an excellent marksman, and she's probably going to kill me for saying this, but she also has almost perfect total auditory recall. And that means I never win a fight. But the challenge with my wife when I met her in business, she was struggling, and she hates to ask for help.
Yeah.
Because she can do it all herself. And her parents always taught her, if you could do it yourself, don't ask someone else to do it. What if you could do everything? So you want to start to ask yourself. Now, this is me on the right being a total loon, right? That was the Jason none of you wanted to meet because he was kind of an ass. And I learned how to ask at an early age. And I learned how to navigate that, but I wasn't skillful in the connection part. And so you can burn people out if it's just the ask, right? Ask. If you don't know what I'm talking about, think about someone that may be in like direct marketing, not that direct marketing is a bad thing, but that they continue to ask you even after you say no. And they're burning through their community, really asking because they think a no is just a no till they get to yes.
Right.
Yep.
Right? That's kind of how date rape happens. Like, just because you can ask doesn't mean you have to. And I had to do some major work with this guy to make sure that I could connect rather than just force. Because if you force, a couple things may happen. One is you can make a lot of money if you don't care about other people. And two is you'll be totally unhappy. You will not have connections in your life. And so remember, just because you can ask doesn't mean you should. It's always about the connection. So when you look at brain chemistry, there's this part that goes in the almond shape in the bottom of your brain, and it's called the amygdala. And you've probably heard this before. It's fight, fright, or freeze. And if you're in your amygdala and it's a big ask and you're willing to share, I'm really curious if you put in the chat, which is your automatic go-to? Not when you're conscious, just when you're automatic. Do you fight it out? Do you withdraw? Or do you just freeze? Like, I don't even know what to ask. What's your go-to?
Serena says fight.
Awesome.
Yvonne says fight.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Depends.
Good answer. Who said depends?
Julie. She's a yoga laughter person.
Great answer, Julie.
And Kai, Dr. Kai, who's up in the Seattle area, he says withdraw and freeze.
Yeah. And so we have our go-to, and none of those leave the other human being with connection. The fight, we tend to bowl them over. The withdraw, we just tend not to ask, or if we make an ask, it's kind of like, would you be willing to? And the freeze is just like, don't ask me to ask someone else for help. I don't even know what to ask, right? So we can get through this by a different part of the brain, and it's the frontal lobe. And the frontal lobe helps us get present to the present moment because we're no longer dealing with all those past experiences. Because if you start to think about fight, fright, or freeze, you're really thinking about past experiences that have already occurred to you. Now, when you're thinking about getting to the present moment, whether it's through meditation or walking in nature or prayer or whatever that grounding practice to open your heart is, you all of a sudden get a clean slate. And when you're coming from a clean slate of curiosity with people, they're going to feel that and they're going to resonate with that. Your ask is not a demand. It's not like they're good if they do it, they're bad if they don't. It's really a curiosity. Would they be willing to help you help more people? And from that space, you might be really surprised by how willing and how supportive people want to be of you. So step 2, I told you 3 steps. Step 2 is to know how to ask. You got to get present and you have to be specific. Now, most people aren't taught how to make asks. So, like, I think about a couple, a man and a woman, and they come home and they're in a disagreement, and the man wants more time with his wife. And so he says to her, hey, I really want more time with you. Now, that may or may not be really connecting for her. To be really specific, he can start to say, hey, I really love hanging out with you. Would you be willing to have a date night with me this Friday at 5 p.m.? I'll schedule it. Those are 2 different conversations. So when you start to think about your alliances, as opposed to come to someone and say, hey, I'm just then thinking we should collaborate together. Let's make a collaboration. What do you think? Not really connecting for the other person. Right? It's really interesting. This is a perfect example. Like, I went to Becky and I said, hey, I'd really like to do a webinar because I have some new material and I'd love to share it with people because I'm tired of them working so hard. And Becky's like, yeah, let's get you hooked up. So start thinking about, where do you want to serve? I love, love, love working with entrepreneurs. Who do you love working with? Put it in the chat now. Who do you love working with? And I don't want to see people. I love working with people.
Yeah, it doesn't help much.
Unless you're a veterinarian.
Jimmy, you are such a smarty. He said people. Okay, Brian said travel business owners. Julie said neurological disordered community. Constance, female solopreneurs. Julie said seniors. Goal-driven entrepreneurs, Serena. And Matt said small business. Tim said engineers. And Serena said kids. So, yeah. People, all right. Chronic health issues, on and on.
I love it. I love it. So you guys are getting more and more. When I hear those, immediately I'm drawn, like I'm a networker by nature. So I'm immediately drawn to who do I know and what groups do I know? And so, Becky, everything's permission-based. I want you to just grab one of those.
Okay. One that somebody said?
Yes.
Oh, geez. You don't want to hear Lynn's. Let's see. Oh, I could pick on Mike. He said people with a budget. So let's see. Okay, Kai. Dr. Kai said people with chronic health issues who haven't been able to find a solution for that.
Oh, that's great. Okay. And would the doctor be willing to come online? Can you ask to turn the mic on if he's willing to have a conversation?
Dr. Kai, can you?
Hey there.
Okay, he's here.
Yeah.
Great. Welcome. Oh, and I see you now. Hey, Dr. Kai.
Here I am.
So this is so great because chronic illness is so prevalent in our society today, and it is bone crushing for the individual. And I am guessing as a physician, you have some tools that work when other things haven't.
That's the idea. Absolutely.
And so when you think about alliances, is there anything or anyone that comes to mind?
A lot of people come to mind, and it's very widespread. I mean, I have sort of a natural alliance with other alternative healthcare providers, people like health coaches, dietitians, nutritionists, massage therapists, chiropractors. There's not quite of as strong a relationship, but also a relationship with medical doctors. And, but then it starts to patients come to me from all over, like people who have no connection to necessarily to what I do. Maybe it's like just someone that, like a woman walked into my office today to just talk to me for a minute, and she saw my brochure on the table downstairs.
Great. And so because we're dealing with how to have others happily help you, you could easily burn yourself out with one-to-one to one-to-one relationships. And so if we brainstorm for a second, just ideas back and forth, and none of these you have to do, these are just ideas that you can do. Would you be willing to play with me?
Sure.
Great. So I'm going to go first and then you go. My idea is that if you work with physicians, that you come within a 5-mile radius that any physician practices, and that means there's 2 or more in the practice, that you would go give a brown bag talk, like a lunch and learn, but you're not supplying lunch. You're supplying the learning. And they're actually getting educated, and then they can refer to you. So that's my idea. What's yours?
Well, I already been doing this actually, is holding classes at a local sort of like herb shop where people come who are already interested in natural medicine.
Perfect. Now, is the herb shop doing a lot of marketing for you?
Some.
Yeah. So sometimes it's just a request, because I've done it 2 ways, where I go in and they're very excited about the topic, and then they don't really do much and the turnout is kind of low, or I bring the whole turnout. And to have them happily help me, I brainstorm with them ways in which they can get their marketing out there for free or very low cost. And it makes a huge difference. So let's go 1 for 1 one more time, all right? Great. So you work with chronic illness, and do you see Lyme patients?
I don't have any right now, but you know, absolutely. I certainly, yeah.
Let me talk to you about a few diseases. Hashimoto's or hormones,
Yep.
like hypothyroidism, or like IBS or Crohn's disease. Which do you think more of that?
All of the above. Absolutely.
Okay. So all of those have meetups, and they all have support groups. And if you just find the contact of the support group saying that you want to give an educational lecture, they are often happy to have you come in. Now, the beautiful thing is they don't have to market. They already have the community, and you show up. That's my idea. You got the last one.
Yeah. You know, I did that. I remember I reached out to a support group of some kind. I didn't hear back from them, but I'm glad you brought that up.
I would do whatever disease you love, that you have the most success with. Yeah. All right, one more, and then we're going to keep going.
All right. Well, I'm in a shared office building. I've just moved here. It's been 3 weeks. So I could hold a sort of informational talk or open house and invite everyone in the building.
Nice. So I love it, and I'm going to add on a modification to that idea, because often we have ideas and we take it on all ourselves. I had a acupuncturist that just moved into a new building a month ago, and what we did is, as opposed to she creating an open house in her clinic, she got everyone in the community to have an open house for the building. And all of a sudden, the walk-through traffic was 10 times what it would have been. So have fun.
Good idea.
Have fun with it.
Yeah.
So any questions before we close out and keep moving?
Thanks, Jason.
Oh, you're welcome, Kai. So this is the thing. In under 6 minutes, that's my guess, Kai and I created 4 ideas to connect with other people that was very low energy output for him and very high return to have other people help him. Now, often we brainstorm, how can we do more? How can we do more? How can we do more? And part of it's because our parents were like, how can you do more? I want you to do more chores. I want you to help out more. I don't want you to ask for more things. I want you to be more of a community member. And this is your invitation from me to you. Start brainstorming where other people can help you. Now, you may go to a place, but everybody's busy. Everybody's busier than I am. Busy people love to help people. This is about your story and your mission getting out there so you can help more people. And I can almost guarantee, I don't like to make guarantees, but I can almost guarantee if you go ask 4 people to help you, one of them is, and really get specific about what your idea was. So with Kai and I, if he goes for the open house, there's some structure and some outlay in the beginning to really enroll people in the idea, tell them why it's a good idea for everyone, see who's interested, and then roll with it. So, step 2, you gotta learn how to ask. Step 3, when was the last time you had fun at work?
Every day.
Every day. That's true for you, Becky. It's not true for a lot of people.
That's true, yeah. I'm lucky.
And so, put it in the chat. Last time you had fun, it could have been today, could have been yesterday, it could have been a month ago.
Oh, Julie says she has a laughing yoga business. She says she always has fun.
I love it. It's hard to have a laughing yoga business and not have fun.
Yeah. Yvonne says every day. Brian says when I was in Panama with the Peace Corps.
Oh, that's awesome. So Peace Corps is all about helping people in community.
Right. Renee says, what is fun? That doesn't sound good.
Yeah. And so I want to come back to the laughing yoga woman. What is her name?
Julie.
Julie, I'm speaking to you. My mentor, Ken Weiser, also does laughing yoga occasionally. He was on a morning television show last week promoting one of his classes. And here's the story he told me. There was a woman that came to class that was a therapist, and she works with very high-end, very low-income, very intense cases. And she has tried everything with this family to have a breakthrough in some crisis that they're dealing with. And their daughter, at a very young age that she is now, stopped talking when the crisis happened. And so as the therapist, she's tried this, she's tried that, nothing's worked. So she finally looked at them and she said, okay, this is really outside the box, but I just took a laughing yoga class and I'm going to do the therapy. And if you're open to this, great. I'm going to talk like this with my tongue out. And I'm going to start asking questions like this. And for the first time in over a month, the daughter opened her mouth and started speaking like that. So I share that story. I share that story for 2 reasons. What you're doing in the world is so needed and so powerful because a lot of people have forgotten how to laugh. And morning shows love you. Like, go get on a morning show.
Yeah.
Go get on radio. Go find places to show up and play. So, you like that, Becky?
I did.
So, for some reason, that's a bummer. I just changed the PowerPoint today, and the pictures aren't showing up, which is okay. I'll deal with that later. So, how do I play? In my business, I have an internal crew, and I work with majority now. I love wellness providers because if I can access wellness providers and have them love their business, they're going to help more people be healthy. And so I do challenges. And the first challenge we did a couple months ago was a 5-day video challenge where people around the world were showing up on video and just answering prompts that I gave them. Fun, connecting. And then they share how much fun they're having. Right now, I designed a 21-day practice what you preach challenge. And I love it because we give advice to other people all the time that we're not following. And so people are learning that thing that I tell people to do all the time. What if I took that on even deeper in my own practice? And I am loving having fun with my community. Now, today's talk was an example. I love this one. Oh, look, picture's coming back, but it went away. So 44 people registered. There was just a picture of the meetup there. And then I used to be an associate for a firm, a business firm for consulting. And every time someone had their birthday, they sent them a PDF of a birthday hat to make themselves with their logo on it. And I thought that was brilliant. That was a brilliant alliance to get their name out there with their current community. So bring yourself. There's a part of you that likes to have fun. And maybe it's dormant right now. That's okay. Welcome it out of the closet. Because people in business are dying to have fun. Everyone is like so addicted to this. And where their fun is coming is from a dog meme or like some sort of silly thing on Facebook. People are waiting for that human connection to have fun together, right? You can get creative. And so I'd like it if you are getting something for yourself out of this, in the chat, name one person you could collaborate with. Just put their name in the chat. We don't need to know how. Just put their name in the chat and let's see that light up right now. So Becky, can you just read those names out loud?
They haven't come yet.
Come on, guys. I know you can think of one person. I'll be Alex Trebek.
Okay, Matt, Maria,
Dun, dun, dun.
Eric.
Keep them coming.
Let's see, Eric, another Eric, Bill, Jason, Julia.
Nice. So if we think of someone, the action really is as follows. We talked about the steps. The first step is know your story so you can bring what it is that you want to collaborate on. Be very specific in your ask. And I would really recommend that you start small. I'm going to come back here for a second. Starting small will allow you to build the relationship, as Lynn said. And when you can have success or failure with something small, it grows from there. I want to talk about a collaboration I did. And whoever told you that you shouldn't give away stuff for free, I think is full of crap and a little scared. I think when you can give some things away for free, that's when the magic happens. And so for me personally, when I got started in coaching, I decided to do a training for Providence Health Systems called Meditation in the Workplace. And I just gave it to them for free. And in the first 24 hours, it was the first time ever that it sold out through their employee assistance program. They had never given something that filled that quickly. And so we did it and people loved it. And they called me back and they said, we want to do it again. Would you do it again? And I did it again because I was happy to do it again. And the exact same thing happened. And they called me back the third time and they're like, we have to pay you. And I said, that's great because I love to make money. And out of that experience, I created a whole meditation in the workplace training that became a CD and an online. And I taught it to 911 people. I taught it to judges. I taught it to Multnomah County employees. I taught it to Fred Meyer employees. And it was because I was willing to just show up and serve. And my invitation is whoever those names are, as opposed to starting with some big grand slam idea, start with some way you can just serve those names on the list. How can you help them help their community? There's a bonus step I didn't add in as a simple step, which is fail forward. You're going to fail. And I take the lead. I met Lucia Sope. I love this woman. She is amazing if you've ever met her. And she and I decided to do networking in nature because we felt like most networking meetings are around a table in either a restaurant or some sort of office. And we created the event and 2 people showed up. And our goal was to have 17 there. And this amazing thing happened. And that is that those 2 people could not thank us enough when we finished the event. Because we still had it. We were decided if we're going to fail big, continue having it, 2 people. Now, you will fail if you start letting other people help you. You may fail by choosing the wrong person that doesn't have the follow through. Mm-hmm. You may fail by having a great idea that's so going to help people, but the first time it's a flop. And what I'll say is don't give up. Like, allow the beta test to be the experience of you not hiding anymore. Allow yourself to say, that thing I've been thinking about doing forever, for the last year, for the last 10 years, I finally did it. Maybe it goes amazing and better than you could imagine, or maybe it fails totally. It's about the experience of getting connected to other people. That's really what it's about. So I got 3:53. We're going to wrap it up, and I'll be here for just a minute or 2 to answer any questions that people have. The 1, 2, 3. Know your story, know how to ask, and know how to bring the fun. If you take that away and you build an alliance, I believe you will not only have more fun and more connection, I believe if you do it consistently, you're going to make more money without spending more and more and more and more and more and more time in your business, because all of a sudden other people want you to succeed as much as you want to succeed. So I take the lead. I do have a one-off if you're ever interested in knowing more about me. And I guarantee it. That means I spend 1 hour with you on a 1-page marketing plan so we can get your marketing simplified and we can have it be doable. And I found that it's efficient, and I found that the people that work the system have more free time because they're not worried about marketing. And it's $99, which is as low as I can go on it. But it's guaranteed if you don't like the sessions, I will not have you pay for it. And that's as much as I can meet you. I'm asking you, if you've struggled with marketing at all, take a step towards me and I'll meet you there.
And if Lynn and I don't, if it's okay, Jason,
sure.
We both took advantage of it, and it was incredible. I know several members have taken advantage of it, and I've heard them in their testimonials. So it's well worth it. Jason thinks outside of the box, despite the fact that his ideal clients are health professionals. He still thought outside the box and gave me some great ideas. So I appreciated it.
Yeah, he's got great experience. You're always going to get some good input from Jason. He's worth talking to.
I love that, Lynn. What I was jumping in to say is, like, I've worked with everywhere from financial planners, mortgage brokers, bankers, realtors, and I've chose wellness providers to be my main staple. But I love helping people. I make a commitment to you. If you're outside being a wellness provider and you're a small business owner that wants the people in the world to be healthier, I believe I can help you.
Absolutely. So do we have time for any quick questions?
Yeah, I have 4 minutes.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions? You can unmute or just through the chat. Excellent presentation. Got to go. Thank you. Let's see, where is it? Here we go. So you can see it, Jason, now.
Yeah, I can now.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Lots of thank yous. So good.
I love it.
Good.
So don't be shy. This is like the permission-based. Don't be afraid to ask. If someone has a question about yourself, your business, we have 4 more minutes, and I'm totally willing to answer it. Joseph, my office is remote. I worked from 3 different countries last year.
Great question.
It is a good question.
Yeah. Joseph, where are you located at? Okay, Stevenson. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And we had several who had to go already, so. Oh, how can you know when you are? Oh, how can you know when you are to stop asking? Renee asked.
When they let you watch Elmo.
No, that's a question every day.
Yeah. So, Renee, you take yourself off. Or maybe I can do that. All right, I'll start with Renee. If you can't take yourself off mute, that's okay, and then I'll move to. So, Renee, the way to know is to trust your heart. When you're connected, you can feel that people are being resistant, not because they're concerned about the details. There's a disconnection, and they just don't want to. So sometimes people will say yes and they mean no. And the way to know to stop asking is, does it still feel good in your heart? Because your heart is the barometer of truth. And if it feels good in your heart, make sure you're asking with permission. So you're saying, I'd like to ask you another question about this. Would you be okay with that? If they say yes and you believe that their yes is a yes, you have to go with them. Constance, home-based business copywriting. Oh, I love copywriting. Any ideas on forming good alliances? I almost cussed. So most business owners suck at copywriting. So good alliances are small business communities. They could be networking events. They could be oftentimes small businesses have conferences. So a conference, Constance, for you to go speak to realtors or to State Farm's insurance agents about copywriting if they're doing any independent. Now, you want to start to think about who are those companies that have a lot of employees that also don't have a shell of marketing coming into them. I think of doTERRA. I think of the wellness providers. I think of website, like for you, website builders and designers are great referrals for you. Julia, oh wait, gotta go. Oh, Joseph, thank you. And then it's 4 o'clock and this is the last question. Julie, where's the best way to find conferences to present at? I believe there's a book on all the conferences. You'll have to check that out. But the best way to do it is to make a mind map. And in the mind map, what you'll do is you'll start with what you do, which is laughter yoga. Mm-hmm. And then you'll think about who's open-minded and who actually could really use that. So like an attorney conference, a medical conference, definitely a holistic nurses conference. And once you make the mind map, you can start to track it backwards, holistic nurses conference into a Google search, and you'll find the conference.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, Becky, I so appreciate you.
Oh, we appreciate you, Jason. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Lynn, Becky, I love our collaborations together. And for those of you, if you want more, contact me. I'm going to send something to Becky, just some notes. And know that I'm here because I just believe most of you, if I'm really honest, they're working too hard. And when you can really have other people help you, lots and lots gets easier. So thank you for having me today, and I'm just wishing you guys a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Becky.
Bye-bye.